Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Perhatian kepada Tuan Moderator, juri ah, dan presenter untuk mengambil tempat dahulu. Tak, juri stay. Sementara kita menunggu crowd masuk untuk nak mula. Dan diberikan masa selama 5 minit, total 15 minit. Dan akan loceng akan diberikan sebanyak 2 kali apabila period session dah habis. Nanti soalan-soalan yang chat box. Kalau ada soalan-soalan dari online. Pada yang dah hadir boleh penuhkan tempat di hadapan untuk penuhkan tempat. Terima kasih. Nampak penuh sikit. Nanti dia orang nak rakamkan nanti nampak penuh sikit. Dia boleh fokus yang penuh nanti. Yang belakang tu dia pasti tak banyak. Yang belakang tu boleh duduk di hadapan untuk penuhkan seat depan. Terima kasih.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay. Attention please, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated as the presentation session will begin shortly. To ensure this event running smoothly, we kindly ask all of the attendees to take a moment to silence your mobile devices. Your cooperations are greatly appreciated. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome and thank you for willing to attend the scientific paper presentation session today. We also want to express special thanks to all of the presenters for their willingness to share their invaluable knowledge on their research paper. Before we start, please pay attention to the video displayed on the screen related to the House Rule of Bank Negara Malaysia.
Welcome to Sasana Kijang, a center of knowledge and learning excellence established by Bank Negara Malaysia. Vehicles entering the premises will be subject to a security inspection at all entrances. All guests are required to walk through the metal detector as part of the security requirements. Guest access to level 5 and the office areas from levels 1 to 5 are strictly prohibited without prior approval. Sasana Kijang is a Wi-Fi enabled area. Please contact the event owner for the Wi-Fi password. Please set your handphone on silent mode to ensure the smooth running of events. Our auditorium seats are equipped with microphones for audience participation. To use the microphone, press the button located on the panel at the side of your seat. A red light indicates that the microphone is ready for use. Press the same button to deactivate the microphone. Smoking is strictly prohibited indoors. Should you wish to smoke, please proceed to the designated smoking areas. In case of an emergency, please remain calm and follow the directions of the safety officer. In the event of a fire or bomb threat, immediate evacuation is required. During a medical emergency, please contact the security counter or any of the available auxiliary police for medical emergency response. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy your experience at Sasana Kijang.
For your information, there will be two presenters who will be presenting their research paper in this first session with sub-theme on economic forecasting and analysis. Before we start with the presentation, allow me to remind a few rules that the presenters must follow. The presenter is given 10 minutes to present their research paper. The first bell will ring one time as soon as the presenter begins their presentation. The second bell will ring two times to indicate the presenter has 2 minutes left to finish their presentation. The third bell will ring 3 times to indicate the end of their presentation. After the presentation ends, the Q&A session will begin immediately. The time given is 5 minutes and the bell will ring 2 times to indicate the end of the Q&A session. For online attendees, you may submit your questions in the Q&A chat box above. All presenters must adhere to the time set and are kindly requested to be aware of your turns of presentation to ensure the smoothness of the presentation session. All presenters are required to remain seated in the presentation room until the end of the session as a sign of respect to the other presenters for their presentation. Without further ado, we are delighted to introduce the moderator that will be conducting the first session, Yang Berusaha Professor Dr. Azami Zaharim, Professor Kehormat from Jabatan Pendidikan Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. Please welcome.
Very good morning or afternoon, and a warm welcome to everyone. First and foremost, I would like to thank all of you for attending this scientific paper presentation session, session 1C, Economic Forecasting Analysis. For today's session, we'll have several esteemed presenters who will share their research. As usual, each presenter will be given 10 minutes. And question answer to 5 minutes. Without any further ado, let's begin with our first presenter, Mrs. Wan Amirah Fatini Wan Razali. Is it right? Paper Predictive Analysis of Malaysia Food Price Index and ARIMA Model Analysis from University Technology Mara.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good afternoon to everyone. Alhamdulillah, thank you for this opportunity to present our research. My name is Wan Amira Fatini and I will be presenting on predictive analysis of Malaysia's food price index and using ARIMA model. Specifically, we focus on consumer price index for food and non-alcoholic beverages, which is the key driver of inflation in Malaysia. So first, let's start with the basic. So the Consumer Price Index, or CPI, is a measure of the percentage change in the prices of a fixed basket of goods and services over time. It is widely used as an inflation indicator as it reflects the cost of living for consumers. In Malaysia, the FNAB, which is the food and non-alcoholic beverages sector, has seen consistent price increases, with its CPI staying above 100 since June 2010. This is concerning as food and non-alcoholic beverages holds a weight of 29.5% in Malaysia's overall CPI. So to understand and to forecast CPI of FNAB is crucial to analyze the inflation trends in our country. So our objective was to generate the prediction ARIMA models of CPI of FNAB in Malaysia, and secondly is to determine the future values of CPI of FNAB for 2 years ahead. So we use the Box-Jenkins methodology, which is one of many approaches of time series analysis. The first step was to check for stationarity using augmented decay-failure test, ADF test. So stationarity is a critical assumption in ARIMA modeling, as it is to ensure that our data has constant mean, variance, and autocorrelation over time. So once stationarity was confirmed after differencing the data, we identified the best fitting ARIMA model by analyzing the ACF and PACF. So then we evaluated the models by using BIC, Bayesian information criterion for model selection, so that the most efficient model was selected. For this analysis, we utilize monthly CPI data from the Department of Statistics Malaysia, which is from the period of January 2011 until August 2023. So we had 164 data points, making it suitable to do forecasts. Um, this is the result of our model identification. For the first identification, we had ADF test at 0.994, which is bigger than 0.05. So it is considered not stationary. And as we can see from the ACF plot, um, it shows that the pattern has a slow decay to zero, while PACF has significant spike at leg 1. So this is further proof that the series that the data is not stationary. Sorry. Um, Next, we did a first order differencing, which returned ADF test with p-value of less 0 than 0.05, which proved that the series is not stationary. Which uh, shows that the series is stationary. With ACF plot, shows a significant spike at leg 1 and 6. So it returns a order of moving average with order of 2, while PACF shows significant spike at leg 1, 5, and 6, which returns a order of autoregressive with order of 3. So the suitable ARIMA model would be ARIMA 312. From ARIMA 312, we we suggested another 4 ARIMA model, which is ARIMA 212, 211, and ARIMA 112 to be competed um, with each other. So we evaluated the model using BIC, and ARIMA 112 shows as the smallest BIC values. So ARIMA 112 would be the most efficient model out of all competing models. By using ARIMA 112, we generated 2-year forecast of CPI of FNAB. So starting from September 2023, the CPI stood at 152.85, where our model predicts a steady rise until August 2025 at 160.62. For context, our forecast provides 95% confident interval ranging from 157.73 until 166.58. This is to reflect the uncertainty surrounding future values. However, the upward trend suggests a consistent inflationary pressure within food and non-alcoholic beverages sector over the next 2 years. To conclude, our research highlights the significant role of food and non-alcoholic beverages in Malaysia's inflation due to its high weight in CPI, which is 29.5%. ARIMA 112 has successfully predicted a consistent increase in FNAB prices for the next 2 years. So this research not only provides insightful forecasts, but also fills the gap in literature, as there has been little research focused on CPI of food and non-alcoholic beverages in Malaysia. And that will be all from me. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to any questions and discussion you may have.
To the presenter, Mrs. Wan Amirah Fatini Wanazali from UITM for the presentation, insightful engagement presentation. Now I open to the floor if there is any question from the floor. Yeah, okay, please. Yeah.
Sorry, the way you write the hypothesis, can you go back to, I'm not sure which slide is that. Um, this is the correct way of writing the hypothesis? The null hypothesis series has unit root and H1 series has no unit root.
Oh,
Is this the correct way, Prof? I just wonder. I just want, because usually H null hypothesis, usually series has no unit root, and then H1 should be series has unit root. All right.
Okay.
H null should in the H null it should be no unit roots, right?
Yeah.
And then I think the way she wrote the hypothesis is, the H null should be H1, right?
oh,
Then H1 should be H null. Is it so?
As a unit root, should be no, isn't it? The other way around.
The other way around, right?
The other way around, yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry for the mistake, and I thank you for acknowledging it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Secondly,
Yes.
where is your just wonder lah? I just want to know where is your conclusion, whether you are actually your analysis, whether you want to reject or fail to reject the hypothesis in your presentation. Thank you.
So sorry. So like hypothesis. So for like null hypothesis, which is series has no unit root, then it is considered not stationary, right? So when the series is not considered as stationary, then we will reject. Sorry. Sorry. So when the series has no unit root, so the series is not stationary, so we will reject H node. So we will reject H node, and the series. Yes.
Feel.
Okay,
You feel. May accept each one.
that's the
Okay.
answer. Thank you. So any questions?
Any more question from the floor or any remark? I'm not sure whether I can ask the question or not with suggestion. Why not? I mean, the presenter, if possible, you use a method of forward or backward, best subset. I think forward or backward, best subset will give better in terms of the best model fit to the data. That's my opinion. By rather you put one by one all the equation.
Oh, okay. Oh.
I think I'm not sure, some of the package like Minitab and so on, all right, any statistical package, you have this what you call a menu asking about the best subset. You can choose forward or backward in terms of modeling, and they will give you what is the best model for that particular data iteratively. I think this will be better for the presentation next time. This is my advice.
Thank you. I will be putting it in future studies.
All right, okay. Any more question?
My question would be for the series of data that you have from 2011 until 2023 that you have you considered breaking it down into different economic cycles? And if you have not, why? If you have, why is it not included in the study? Yeah.
Not. We don't consider to break it down because there is no seasonality in this series, because in our case, after differencing, there were no clear seasonal component was identified. So which is why we use non-seasonal ARIMA model. In future work, we could explore to break it down to like post-COVID and pre-COVID. But we initially didn't want to break it down because we thought that we don't have enough data points, so that it couldn't be a good a good value to forecast. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yes. No question? Yeah.
Waalaikumsalam.
I'm Samsudin from MEF. I'm not a statistician, but always been, wondering what is the correlation of the CPI index that had been studied thus far and being churned out by DOSM as compared to what is actually happening in the market. Yeah. So, say for example, you mentioned that your F&B basically have a high weightage as far as CPI is concerned. But my reading of the CPI that had been churned out on a yearly basis is always then less than 2%, or at highest one is 3%, for example. Yeah, the increase. But then if you look at the prices that you buy food in the market, for example, just pasar malam, for example, goreng that used to cost something like 2 ringgit, 3 ringgit. Now at least it's 5 ringgit 50 cent. But then it's not reflected in the CPI increase itself. So how you want to convince the public that actually the data churned out to say that CPI is only this much is really representative of what is actually happening in the market? So what is really the correlation between the prices in the marketplace and also of the CPI index? Does it carry a different meaning kind of thing? Because obviously the cost of living is very high, and this is a national concern. Macam price of ikan kembung used to be like less than 10 ringgit, but sekarang ni kalau you nak dapatkan yang fresh, nothing less than 20 plus ringgit. Yeah. So how is this reflected in the CPI actually? Thank you.
I'm actually deeply sorry because I don't really have enough knowledge to be commenting on that particular question, because I myself doesn't have enough doesn't have enough knowledge in this correlation prices between market price and CPI. Maybe others could have a discussion on this particular question. I'm so sorry.
Okay, thank you for the presenter. Any more question related to this topic? Yeah, thank you.
I just wanted to check on your forecast results. So do you manage to do any validation to that results? For example, you saw that CPI was increasing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the CPI was increasing as we predicted that September 2023 it will be sorry. So in September 2023, it was predicted that it will be in 152.8501, and the actual value was 152.8. So yeah, so our forecast has minimal error, so that this is an accurate forecast.
So probably just a suggestion for you to maybe show like comparing to the actual value. So maybe until now, the latest would be July 2024 CPI. So maybe you can just put, whatever validation methods you want to go, forecast errors or, all the other, whatever computations, so that, people can see how your forecast is doing. That's just my suggestion.
Thank you for the
Yeah.
suggestion.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much to the speaker and also to the audience for the first session. I would like to thank the speaker again, the first speaker. Now let's move to the second speaker. Without a second speaker, give a big speaker from, let me see, from University Tun Hussein On, Mrs. Siti Aisyah Muhammad Razali. The paper is Malaysian household poverty determined by using model selection and model averaging. Without any ado, I will call upon the presenter to present the finding.
Okay, thank you, Prof. All right, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So my name is Siti Aisyah Muhammad Fazil and I'm from University Tun Hussein On Malaysia. So I'll be presenting my research paper entitled Malaysian Household Poverty Determinant by using model selection and model averaging. So basically this paper is more on application, just a modeling application on data that was provided by DOSM, which is data of household income and household expenditure. The objective is to find out which variables or which covariates that might influence poverty in Malaysia. All right. So I'm pretty sure that all of you have heard about the subcategories for income in Malaysia, which is B40, M40, and T20. So did you know that in each categories, there's another subcategories. For example, in B40, there are another 4 stages. And the lowest one is bottom B40. So this bottom B40 is what we call as poor. So how do we separate the income from poor to not poor? So we are using a poverty line income. So this poverty line income is revised every year. And for 2016, we can see that the poverty line income is 960 ringgit, which means any income by the household which fall under 960 ringgit is considered as poor. And this PLI has increased quite significant for 2019, which is more than 1,000 ringgit. And recently it was 2,589 ringgit, which means that household that have income 2,589 ringgit is under 2,589 ringgit is considered as poor. So according to DOSM, poverty incident had increased from 405.4 thousand in 2019 to 639.8 thousand in the following year, which is a very big gap. So this poverty might have some impact on the country if it is not handled properly. So some of it is affecting individual life expectancy, contributes to malnutrition and also poor education. So this research aims to provide some insight to help policymakers in Malaysia in organizing strategies to eradicate poverty by summarizing the most influential determinants of poverty for year 2019. So it might sound huge, but basically this paper is going to show what factors that might affect poverty among households. Okay. So in order to find out which variables or which factors that might affect poverty, I am using 3 modeling methods, which is the first one, model selection, model averaging, and also hybrid method, which combines model selection and model averaging ideas. So the research objective is to identify determinants of poverty or to identify factors of poverty in Malaysia, and then to conduct a comparative analysis whereby I will compare these 3 methods. So for the methodology, this is the data that I'm using. We have 10 variables, household variables, and for the Y is binary, poverty status. There's some mistake over there. It's supposed to be 1 for poor and 0 for not poor. Okay, so we have about 10 variables. So out of these 10, which variables are
contributing to poverty the most. And we have about 6,354 samples for this study. So since my Y is in binary, so we are using logistic regression. And for modeling method, just like I mentioned, I'm using the three modeling methods. It's just that for model selection, for the variable selection, we are going to use backward elimination. For model averaging and the hybrid method, we are going to compare AICC and BIC. And we are using Breer score for model accuracy comparison. So this is the process of model selection flow. So the aims of model selection is to remove or omit insignificant variables in a model. So let's say I start with 10 variables. So there might be insignificant variables or variables that do not contribute to the poverty. So what model selection will do is it will remove the insignificant variables. As for the model averaging, okay. As for the model averaging, what it does is, let's say we have 10 variables. The end product will also be 10 variables. What it does is that for each variable, it will put weight. So more for variables that have more weight, it will have more. For variables that have more importance in the model, it will have more weight. Okay, so this is for the model averaging process. So the idea is computing weight for each variables. And the next one, which is the hybrid method, the process is similar. It's just that the process is similar with model averaging, but it's just that there is insignificant variables removal, because for model averaging, since it includes all of the variables in the final model, there is still insignificant variable exists. So this process is going to remove the insignificant variable. So we are going to compare the accuracy for these three methods. Okay, so for the result, I'll start with descriptive statistic first. Okay, so for the first one, poverty among states in Malaysia. So the darker color represent the highest ratio of poverty in Malaysia. So from this graph, you can see that Sarawak and also Selangor have the darkest color, if you can see. So it means that that area have a higher poverty percentage or ratio. And then for the poverty among strata, let's focus on the blue color, which is for poverty among urban and rural area. The poverty among urban and rural urban area has a slightly more than a rural area. And lastly, poverty percentage in Malaysia is 14%. So from this descriptive statistic, it is hard for us to determine which variables that contributes to poverty the most. So that's why we are using a modeling method. So this is the result for the modeling method. So just like I said just now, we are comparing three methods: model selection, model averaging, and also variable selection, model averaging. For the first model, this one, you can see that the Breer score is 0.10008. And for the other model, the Breer score is actually quite similar. And the least one is on model averaging, AICC. Yeah. And the second least one is variable selection, model averaging, AICC. So in order for us to find the best model, we need to look for the lowest Breer score. So from here, we can conclude that model averaging AICC is the best model for poverty determinants. And if I plot the Breer score, these two is almost similar. So what I can conclude that if the researcher's objective, if they want to find the best model averaging AICC is the best. But if they want to find models that can represent most contributing factor, variable selection model averaging is it's also a good method. So since in this study, I would like to find the poverty determinants or the factors that affect Y the most, I'm going to choose model from variable selection AICC. So here's the model. So based on the model, we can see that the poverty determinants among Malaysian is household size, strata, ethnic, household gender, household age, household activity status, certificate, and also household type of occupation. And state and working industry does not contribute to poverty among Malaysian. So this is the same one. There's a slight difference between model averaging and variable selection model averaging, and it depends on the researcher's objective, which model that they want to choose. And yeah, that's all from me. This is the reference that I'm using, and that's all from me. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you very much to the presenter for the insightful presentation. Now I will open the floor for any question. Please raise your hand if there is any question for our last presenter. Anybody? Yes, please. Now you can use it.
Thank you for your presentation. I noticed that the sample size that you use is relatively small compared to the number of total population in Malaysia. So wondering if there's any test or any assessment done to ensure the representativeness of this sample size, and if yes, if no, why not? Yeah, right. Thank you.
So there is no calculation did to make sure that this result will represent the real Malaysian poverty determinants, because this data was provided by DOSM, because UTHM and DOSM have linked before. So we got about 6,354 data, so that we are using all of the data. So there's no calculation to make sure that it can represent the whole Malaysia.
Okay, yes, please. All right.
Okay. Cheaper analysis. Okay. All right. Thank you for the suggestion. Thank you so much.
All right. Any more last question before I close the session? One, two, three. Okay. Thank you very much for both of the speaker, for the presenter, for the excellent contribution today. I would like also to thank the audience for the attention and participation in the session. I hope everyone will gain some valuable information and also from presentation. That concludes today our session. And now, again, I will hand over back to the floor to the organizer.
Thank you to the moderators and presenters. Ladies and gentlemen, allow us to express our deepest gratitude to the moderator and all of the presenters. As a token of gratitude and appreciation, we invite Yang Berusaha, Ms. Chu Ching Yi, to deliver the souvenirs to the moderators and presenters. We invite Yang Berusaha Professor Dr. Azami Zaharim as the moderator to receive a token of appreciation. Please welcome. Okay, next, we invite the presenters to receive the souvenirs. Please welcome Ms. Wan Amira Fatini Wan Razali. Ms. Siti Aisyah Muhammad Fazil. We express our gratitude to Yang Berusaha Professor Dr. Azami for the souvenirs giving. Next, we will now move on to the photo session. I would like to invite Yang Berusaha, Ms. Chu Ching Yi, Yang Berusaha Professor Dr. Azami Zaharim, and all of the presenters to the front to take a photo. For now, moderators and presenters and
Okay.
okay, thank you. With the end of the photo session, the first session of the presentation has ended. The second session of the presentation will continue at 2 p.m. Please be informed that all presenters and attendees need to be ready in the room 15 minutes earlier, which is at 1:45 p.m. for the smoothness of the event. All presenters and attendees are invited for lunch located at the ground floor. Thank you for your attention.
Change point, outlier and extreme value. Tapi non-linear dah bukan linear.